Welcome to our few minutes together on the Pasha. This week we have the privilege of reading Pashas Va-Yetze. I'm actually recording this on the morning of the day that here in the United States of America is known as a legal holiday called Thanksgiving. And it's interesting to note that when Yaakov, who in Pashas Va-Yetze goes to the house of Lavan and sees Rachel and wants to marry her, and we know that Lavan tricks him and gives him Leah, and then he waits another week after the marriage of Leah and marries Rachel with the promise to work an additional 7 years. Hashem blesses Leah with children, and the first one, of course, was Reuven, and then Shimon, and then Levi. When the fourth son is born, Leah says, "Hapa'am ode es Hashem." This time, I will give thanks to Hashem, and al kain kara shemo Yehuda. Therefore, she called his name Yehuda. Yehuda, which means from the word Odeh, which means to give thanks. And the Jewish people, of course, are known by the name Yehuda. In fact, the word Jew comes from the Hebrew word Yehuda. The Yud was anglicized into a J, Judah, and Jew comes from Judah. The Gemara in Brachos on Daf Zayin says, Ad shebasa Leah, until Leah came, lo haya echad she'odeh LaHashem. There was no one who gave thanks to Hashem. The Ksav Sofer asks, that's a rather startling statement. It's not so that no one gave thanks to Hashem. We see that Noach offered korbanos to Hashem, and we know that Avram Avinu gave thanks to Hashem. And the assumption is, of course, that Adam HaRishon also gave thanks. And the Avos, throughout the history, up until Leah had Yehuda, definitely gave thanks. Why does the Gemara say that until Leah there was no one who gave thanks to Hashem? So the Ksav Sofer gives a very interesting answer. And he says, yes, people did give thanks. Avram did give thanks. Yitzchak did give thanks. Yaakov also gave thanks as he was given a promise. But Leah was the first one who gave thanks for something natural. Not for a miraculous event, but something natural, like having a child. It's natural, and we look upon it as something completely, acceptably normal. What we fail to realize, and what Leah did realize, is that the natural order of things is something to be exceedingly thankful for. And so whenever she looked at this child, which represented her fourth child, why she waited till the fourth, we'll leave for another time. But in the meantime, she definitely gave thanks for the normal action of giving birth. And this is something we can learn from. We Jews are so-called Jews because we are Judah, we're Yehuda. We give thanks. We don't just give thanks once a year as the concept of the day of Thanksgiving, but we give thanks daily, regularly. Modeh ani lefanecha. I admit and I thank to you, Hashem. The second we open our eyes, we're exceedingly thankful over all the gifts that we possess at all times, even when there's difficulties, because we recognize that we have so many gifts that we must be thankful for them despite the difficulties. And maybe even with Leah, it was the same thing. After all, she was not his first choice, the first choice of Yaakov. And she might have felt that the fact that I wasn't the first choice should stand against me, and maybe I won't be as loved as the pasuk says. But nevertheless, she recognized that even that lack of being chosen first now gave her this child of Yehuda, and she's thankful not only for the natural birth of Yehuda, but in addition, recognizing that all the tzaros that she had until this point also were a gift to her to enable her to say thank you. So we Jews, we're called Yehuda. We give thanks on a daily basis. We say Moda Ani. We say Modem Anachnu Loch. Sha'atu Hashem Elokeinu, that you Hashem are our God. At the end of the modim we say, Va'al nisecha shebechol yom imanu, and on your miracles which are with us every day, erev avoker v'tzaharayim, morning, noon, and night, constantly God is with us, and consequently we say modim, we say thanks, because that's who we are. We're the Jewish people who say thanks. And despite all the difficulties, despite the terror, despite the fact that we've constantly been beaten up upon, we recognize that being chosen to be Hashem's unique people, and as Rebbetzin Heller said, and I read it last week from the Bima, that we are not like them, alone is enough to offer thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hapam Oda es Hashem. That's why he's called Yehuda, and that's us. That's the Jewish people, constantly giving thanks on a regular basis, every day, all day, and that's why we're known as Jews, because we give thanks. Have a wonderful Shabbos.